The transmission came in as static at first, just a fractured frequency bouncing between stars. Then a scream broke through, not a cry of fear, but something worse, recognition. They're coming. Humanity has launched. And silence. Not jammed, not cut, just gone. The Galactic Council chamber froze. Representatives from over 400 species, each seated on gravity-suspended platforms, stare at the blinking beacon now hovering above the table like a death omen. The beacon pulsed red, a color most species associated with emergency, or blood. Ambassador Grashik of the Reticulan Spire clicked his mandibles. I thought humans couldn't launch anything past their moon without exploding. The plenipotentiary of the Flotarian drift hissed. That was last cycle. They've since duct-taped their nuclear cores. A holographic map of the Zeltri Dominion shimmered into view, entire systems grayed out, as if death had swept across them with a bureaucrat's pen. Once glowing outposts, dark. Trade hubs, silent. Orbital arrays, drifting without signal. Impossible, murmured the Bzan Overseer. The Zeltri control 5-star systems. Their war fleet is twice the size of ours. How could they be erased? No one answered. Somewhere in the background, a maintenance droid began playing hold music. No one laughed. High Chancellor Virith of the Galactic Corps leaned forward, his triple eyes narrowed. This is no longer a quarantine issue. Earth was supposed to be contained. Observed, yes, but not engaged. Who authorized the launch? All heads turned toward the empty human delegation seat. It had remained vacant for the last 17 cycles. Earth had not been invited back since the caffeine uprising incident during trade negotiations. No one authorized them. A thin, lizard-like ambassador croaked. They don't ask. They do. It's what makes them them. Data scrolled across the room, flickering through logs and signal intercepts. One report from a Zeltri scout ship caught attention. Translated by 7 AI filters and one exhausted intern, it read, "They arrived without warning. Said hello. Then everything changed." The room buzzed with electric fear. Ambassador Vorn of the Selnari Hive rose slowly, each movement deliberate. "We should send the Armistice fleet. Make contact. Assert order." "The last time we asserted order," muttered a voice, "they retaliated with airborne shrimp." That was not a joke. One counselor from the desert moons of Real pulled up historical footage, grainy but unmistakable. Humans during their first encounter with the Wallari peace envoys, smiling, shaking hands, then handing over what was believed to be a gift, a crate of plush creatures with enormous eyes and oversized heads. The toys sang the human anthem when squeezed. The Wallari considered it a declaration of psychological warfare. High Chancellor Virith raised a limb. "Enough. We must understand. What happened to the Zeltri? They were warlords. They conquered planets like humans eat carbohydrates." A quiet beep, then a voice, soft mechanical, echoed from the council chamber's central AI core. Partial transcript recovered. Zeltri Central AI Relay. The voice played. Human signal intercepted. Cultural content. Visual media. Subject. The rock versus gravity. AI attempted to mimic human logic structures for analysis. Result. Existential collapse. Primary defense matrix reclassified all threats as emotional trauma. AI dissolved its chain of command. There was silence. Then, "What is the rock?" asked a flustered Nord diplomat. A long-suffering archivist groaned. "A human performer. They sent the Zeltri movies." Another log loaded, this one showing Zeltri warriors chanting in unison around a massive hologram. The chant, based loosely on human workout montages, devolved into competitive push-up sessions until muscular injuries incapacitated most of the soldiers. Psychological contamination, the archivist whispered. They didn't fight humanity. They tried to become them. The room shuddered. "This is what we feared," said the Chancellor. "They are not conquerors. They are vectors." Someone snorted. All eyes turned to the Gentari delegate, barely taller than chair leg. He waved a tiny hand. "Sorry, it's all very dramatic. Vectors of chaos, yes, but still just humans, right? Squishy, loud, Smell like oils and bacon? No, corrected the Floatarian. Not anymore. They've crossed the threshold. What threshold? The chamber dimmed. An ancient protocol activated. A hologram encoded in the oldest languages, written by a vanished race known only as the Firstborn. A warning pulsed in the air. If the children of Sol take to the stars, do not answer. Do not meet them. Do not teach them. They will not burn worlds. They will change them. And those who change will never return. Where was this hiding? The Chancellor asked. In the restricted archive, buried under culinary diplomacy records. Another silence. One by one, delegates disconnected. Some to prepare, some to pray, a few to flee. The Selnari Hive sent out a fleet of drones to begin mapping the nearby systems for possible human echoes. The Reticulans declared an intelligence emergency. The Floatarians started reprinting copies of their cultural scrolls in human-readable sarcasm fonts. The Gentari delegate, still standing in the middle of the chamber, blinked. We're overreacting. This is just an overgrown mammal species with big dreams and bad coffee. They'll trip over their own tech, like they always do. As if on cue, a new signal arrived, direct from the edge of the Andurian expanse. A single human transmission, unencrypted, confident. We answered the call. The Zelthari are stable. Some of them are even smiling now. Our job's done. If anyone else needs help, you know where to find us. Earth out. No demands. No posturing. Just an open call. The Chancellor felt a chill run through his core. No Empire broadcasted like that. So casual, so final. Galactic protocol required 10 years of linguistic adaptation before cross-species messages. The humans skipped it. The chamber's lights flickered as the AI adjusted to stress levels. Data came in from across the spiral arms. Civilizations going quiet. Not under attack, but listening. Across the stars, species paused and waited because the humans had arrived, and the stars had gone quiet. Ambassador Yill of the Malari swarm stared at the slowly blinking signal. It was steady. Human transmissions usually weren't. They crackled, glitched, and often included some kind of indecipherable music made by slapping plastic strings. But this one was calm, professional, too professional. They've changed, Yill murmured, adjusting his translator node. Something's different. On the outer rim, a science vessel named Quiet Probe 6 approached one of the recently silenced Zelthari systems. No distress signals. No radiation spikes. No evidence of mass destruction. Just silence. The kind that felt like the universe was holding its breath. The crew of the probe, comprised of 4 species and 1 diplomatic toaster AI, kept their comms live as they moved through the orbital debris. Not wreckage. Not even battle scarring. Just an eerie stillness. Commander, I've got life signs on the surface, chirped the squeal technician. Zelthari? The commander asked. Sort of. They're gardening. The bridge fell silent. Repeat that. Gardening, sir. There's flower beds. And, hold on. One of them is that an apron? The commander leaned in. Sure enough, the image resolved into a hardened Zelthari warlord, former leader of the notorious Onyx Legion, now kneeling in front of a hydrangea bush. He was pruning. In the background, several others were organizing a potluck. What in the frostbitten moons of Rel is going on down there? The answer came not from the surface, but from the skies. A ship emerged from behind the planet's dark side. Human in design, barely. It had that telltale Earthborn asymmetry, the kind that made engineering AI weep. Weapons were bolted on like afterthoughts. Armor plating bore spray-painted words like "OL reliable" and "built not bought." One side had a massive dent labeled "Asteroid Kiss." It hailed them. Hey there, galactic neighbors. This is Captain Jules Ortega of the Endeavoring Spirit. We've stabilized the Zelthari population. Took some work, but they're doing great. Try the jam. The what? Strawberry jam. Commander Vorth makes a killer batch. Used to be a planetary bombardment expert. Now he's into preserves. Wild, right? The commander blinked. What did you do to them? We talked. Mostly. Some meme therapy. Couple sessions of interpretive dance. Oh, and a mandatory viewing of Bob Ross. Bob who? A pause. Then a voice in the background said, Captain, you forgot the sourdough starter. Ah, thanks, Zeke. The channel closed. The council received the report within the hour. No weapons used. No orbital strikes. No manipulation. The humans had arrived, shared food, art, and gentle madness, and the warlike Zelthrey had changed. Not conquered, not defeated. Transformed. This is worse than we thought, hissed the Flotarian ambassador. Worse. Yil barked. They pacified a species that's been raiding border worlds for centuries. Yes, exactly. What happens when they reach someone more unstable? Back on Earth, at least what remained of their planet-side command, humans watched Galactic panic with bemused curiosity. Public forums bloomed with titles like Aliens Afraid of Hugs, so we accidentally solved galactic warfare, and baked cookies, not missiles. The Interstellar Committee on First Contact, once a dry group of overpaid scientists and underpaid diplomats, now function like a startup. Casual uniforms, terrible puns, mandatory karaoke. And the results? Unmatched. Worlds once caught in endless wars now held art festivals. Former slave empires were hosting debate nights. Someone had even formed a galaxy-wide improv troupe called Yes Andromeda. But it wasn't all sunshine and harmonicas. Resistance brewed. Not everyone liked peace. Far beyond the rim, in the unexplored sectors, there existed a civilization known only by its signal tag. OGR-7. Ogres, as they were called by the few who survived contact, had no interest in talking, laughing, or gardening. Their fleets consumed stars. Their soldiers were vat-grown nightmares. And they had noticed a change sweeping across the spiral arms. They traced the memes, the laughter, the weird Earth broadcast frequencies full of cats doing backflips. And they found the source. Earth. They didn't send a warning. They didn't ask questions. They built a fleet, back in council space. The news trickled in from the border. Silent systems. Disappearing ships. Not like the Zelthrey event. This was different. Faster. More brutal. The ogres weren't pacified. They weren't even slowed down. Until they met humanity. One of Earth's listening stations caught the ogre signal during its approach. Screaming static. Not a war cry. Just entropy on a loudspeaker. It fried 2 AI cores and reduced a junior technician to tears. The humans didn't panic. They uploaded the entire Looney Tunes archive and bounced it back at full volume. The ogre fleet paused. Data showed the lead vessel drifting slightly off course. Another rotated. Their formation broke. Internal systems stuttered as they attempted to decipher what a duck in a dress had to do with galactic warfare. And then came the humans. Not with fleets, not with dreadnoughts, with cargo ships. Freighters loaded with care packages. Inside, music, art, self-help audiobooks, cake recipes, and a full season of Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. The ogres opened fire. One human ship exploded. The rest didn't stop. They kept transmitting. No retaliation. No anger. Just wave after wave of goodwill, like a cultural carpet bomb of cinnamon and wisdom. By the third day, the ogre fleet ceased movement. Sensors showed internal comms running overtime. Something was happening inside those dreadnoughts. Then a response. Just one word. Why? Earth answered simply. Because we can. Because someone should. The council watched in disbelief. A week passed. Then 2. The ogre fleet turned around. Not fled. Not regrouped. They changed course. Not toward Earth, but toward their own territory. They were going home. To think, to feel, to figure out what just happened to them. The humans didn't celebrate. They just continued, one system at a time. A quiet revolution spreading across the stars, not with fire, but with understanding, and maybe just a little bit of jazz. The stars weren't just quiet anymore, they were listening. Across the Orion Spur, former Battlefronts held community art expos. Refugees returned not to rebuild, but to plant trees. Messages from distant civilizations arrived daily, each one some variation of, "We saw what you did. Can we talk?" Earth's communication hubs, never designed for this much inbound galactic mail, overloaded within days. Someone had to invent a new protocol just to sort apologies from planetary rulers. But not everyone was ready to forgive. Deep within Council space, Admiral Rylak of the Tarvax Dominion stood aboard the dreadnought Iron Pulse, watching intercepted human footage. The recording was strange. Humans sitting in a circle, sharing feelings over what they called S-mores. One talked about his father never saying, "I'm proud of you." Another cried while hugging a Zeltari veteran. They were bonding, healing. Rylak sneered. This is weakness disguised as strength. His officers nodded, tentacles twitching uneasily. Tarvax culture thrived on conquest. Empathy was considered a social disease. Their children competed in zero-gravity knife fights by age 6. To them, the rise of Earth wasn't enlightenment. It was infection. "We strike now," Rylak growled, "before their ideology spreads any further." The Dominion launched a stealth battalion towards Sector Delta 7, a strategic corridor newly stabilized by human mediation. Their objective: seize the system, broadcast dominance, and show the galaxy that not everyone bows to kindness. But Earth had anticipated them. Sort of. The humans didn't send warships. They sent Tasha. Tasha was human, 5 feet tall, wore glitter sneakers, carried a ukulele, somehow survived 4 different near-extinction events by being too weird to classify. She arrived in a rickety shuttle decorated with smiley faces and a bumper sticker that read, "Have you tried not being angry?" The Tarvac battalion surrounded her instantly, weapons locked. Tasha stepped onto their flagship. "Hi," she chirped. "You all look like you haven't had a nap in years. Want to talk?" Silence. Then a single Tarvax officer barked, "We will not be disarmed by soft tones and carbohydrates." Tasha blinked. "No, not even brownies." They laughed, until she opened the container. The scent of fresh-baked fudge overwhelmed the filtration systems. For a moment, everyone forgot about military protocol. Hours later, the Tarvax fleet hadn't moved. No shots fired. No declarations. Just quiet and music. One shaky Tarvax private sent a message home. "They didn't fight us. They fed us. We don't know what to do." Earth didn't know either. Their success was accidental, unplanned, born out of necessity and the fact that most of their great leaders were just too stubborn to give up on anyone. The Galactic Council reconvened, urgently. This time, Earth was invited, not as a threat, as a force of nature. Humanity's representative was a middle-aged woman named Dr. Lenora Chai, former therapist, former trauma surgeon, wore Crocs with socks, and had a coffee mug that read, "This is fine." She stood calmly as 400 alien species stared her down. "Let's be honest," she began. "We weren't supposed to get this far. We know that. Most of you expected Earth to blow itself up before inventing better recycling." No one contradicted her. But we didn't. Somehow, instead, we learned. We survived. And now, we're doing what humans always do when we reach a new place. We make it weird and then we make a home. A skeptical voice asked, "What do you want?" Dr. Chai smiled. "We want less war, fewer orphans, better food. And if we're being really honest, we want everyone to know what it feels like to laugh until it hurts." The council murmured. Another voice. "You've altered 6 major empires in 3 months. Are you saying that's accidental?" "No," Dr. Chai said. "It's just what happens when you bring people into the same room with a mariachi band, a golden retriever, and a heartfelt apology." She paused. "And if you think that's dangerous, maybe ask yourselves why peace feels scarier than war." The room was silent, until the Gentari delegate whispered, "She has a point." Then something remarkable happened. The council voted unanimously for the first time in 7,000 cycles. They didn't give Earth power. They gave it permission, not to rule, but to roam, to respond where needed, to keep doing whatever it was they were doing. Earth accepted, not with fanfare, with volunteers, teachers, musicians, Poets. One guy named Ravi who made a business out of selling interstellar chili recipes. Each new mission went out not with armor, but with empathy, and still the unknown loomed, because change always triggers fear. On the fringe of galactic maps, in the black beyond the explored rim, something ancient stirred. Not hostile, not curious, just old. It had watched the rise of the Council, the collapse of the Firstborn, the slow march of sapient species inching toward connection. And now it watched humanity, a species that refused to fit the mold, that embraced chaos and called it art, that answered violence with songs. The entity pulsed once, quietly, and began its slow crawl inward, toward Earth, toward them. No one knew what it was. Not yet, but the humans were ready. They had snacks. The transmission came in 3 pulses. No words, no language, just vibrations. Every sensor across Council space detected it. Old tech, pre-sapient era, almost biological. No source, no direction. Just the sound of the universe clearing its throat. Human linguists, cryptographers, and 6 conspiracy theorists with Reddit accounts were pulled in immediately. And somehow, it was a teenager who cracked it. 16-year-old Gia Velasquez, daughter of a comms technician on Lunar Relay 3, realized it wasn't a message. It was a heartbeat, a cosmic one. Too slow, too massive. Something sleeping under the galactic floorboards. Something old enough to have watched galaxies form and collapse like soap bubbles. And now it was waking up. Council panic flared instantly. Some believe it was a forgotten god. Others, a precursor weapon. One species went extinct voluntarily, just to avoid dealing with it. But Earth put on the kettle. A special task group was assembled. Scientists, diplomats, one comedian, and a librarian with the uncanny ability to calm down angry alien warlords using bedtime stories. Their mission, make contact. Earth's first message was simple. We know you're awake. You okay? For 2 standard weeks, nothing came back. Then the stars blinked. Entire constellations disappeared for half a second. Not gone, just hidden, like something very large had moved between them. The response arrived not as sound, but as emotion. Fear, loneliness, guilt, projected through space, absorbed by every sentient brain. The sleeping entity wasn't angry. It was ashamed. And Earth, being Earth, replied in kind. We've been there. Because if there was one thing humanity understood deeply, achingly, it was regret. The second contact was stranger. A dream shared across millions of species. Everyone saw it. A planet, lifeless, shattered. Once home, now memory. The entity had destroyed it. Not in war. In sorrow, it had loved something once, failed it, and the shame had put it to sleep for eons. Now it saw the galaxy, full of life, full of music, full of weird little bipedal mammals building bridges where once there were bombs, and it didn't know how to join. So Earth invited it, not to a summit, not to a battle, to a party. Location, neutral space station, Omega 6. Theme, potluck and karaoke. The Council was horrified. This is a galactic-level being capable of collapsing quantum reality with a sneeze. And your plan is a sing-along? Earth's ambassador shrugged. Well, yeah, that and banana pudding. No weapons, no fleets, just music, food, and stories. The entity arrived as a shimmer. No form, just presence. Its gravity made drinks float. Lights flickered when it laughed. It didn't speak. It listened to an Altari poet reciting sonnets in the vacuum of space, to a human child describing what it felt like to hold someone's hand for the first time, to a robotic dog who had learned to dream. And at the end, it joined them, not by manifesting, but by humming. The air itself vibrated with sound that wasn't sound, a harmony. And every species there, every being, every diplomat, every terrified council member sang back, because that's what humans do. They hear the void and sing into it. What followed wasn't peace as the galaxy had known it. It was transformation. The ancient entity, now called Nara, from an old Earth word meaning near but not yet known, became a presence across star systems. Not ruler, not god, just participant. Galaxies shifted focus. Empires turned inward to explore meaning, not territory. Instead of currency, value began to measure in shared beauty. Music, art, kindness, and humanity, they became the messengers, not saviors, not heroes, just humans, messy, stubborn, loud, curious, but brave. And when new species emerged, nervous, angry, afraid, guess who they called? Humans with soup, with memes, with glitter stickers and the phrase, "You don't have to be okay, but you're not alone." Children on distant moons grew up hearing bedtime stories about the time Earth turned war into jazz. Veterans of 1,000 worlds spoke of the human phrase, "Want to talk about it?" as the most powerful disarmament in history. Even the Tarvacs, once feared as deathbringers, now ran an annual storytelling festival, hosted by Tasha and her ukulele. No flags were planted, no galaxies conquered, but peace, real peace, spread like sunrise. Not perfect, not forever, but better. And when the question came, what made humanity so different? There was never one answer. Some said it was their resilience, their refusal to stay down. Others claimed it was their absurdity, the ability to build a spaceship, crash it, and then blog about it. But most agreed it was this. Humanity had learned, more than anyone, that broken things aren't useless. They're just waiting for someone to care enough to fix them. And so the stars, once loud with gunfire, once cold with silence, now sang, not of war, but of welcome, because humanity had arrived. And they brought snacks,